If you're wondering whether to read The People's God Sacrificing Trillions to Ascend, here's our no spoiler take in under 60 seconds. Plot 8 out of 10. Straightforward power fantasy with a twist. Simple but addicting like divine junk food. Characters 7 out of 10. Mostly solid. The MC isn't totally heartless, but you may wish he had more personality modules installed. Writing style 7 out of 10. Clean, direct, very readable. Not a lot of fluff, but not a lot of flair either. World building 6 out of 10. So many worlds, so little depth. Wide scope, but lacks richness. Originality 8 out of 10. Mixes known tropes with bug based divine madness. Feels oddly fresh despite being familiar. Pacing 8 out of 10. Fast and furious, no time wasted, but sometimes at the cost of tension or buildup. Quirkiness 10 out of 10. A god of locusts who sacrifices them by the billions. Peak unhinged cultivation energy. Final score 8 out of 10. A chaotic, creative, fast paced ride through divine evolution and insect driven warfare. Read it if you like power climbs, questionable morality, and god tier swarm tactics. Welcome to Wuxiaworld's Tea House Season 2. I'm your host, Yojj.
And I'm Tokki. Hello everyone! By special request, we're reviewing The People's Gods today. This is a Chinese web novel that seems to cover pretty much every genre there is on Wuxiaworld.
There's 15 different tags attached to this novel, so you might be right.
Okay, so for those wondering what the tags are, fantasy, sci-fi, cultivation, cheat systems, reincarnator, action, wuxia, crafting, alchemy, modern setting, superpower, kingdom building, pets, and dungeon crawling. Like, who tagged this novel? I feel like they made a mistake, it's like, when you have a checkbox and you select all by mistake.
I mean, you never know. Maybe it does include all that. I mean, the People's God does have, over 1,000 chapters. That's 1,697 chapters long. So there's definitely enough time to include all those tags.
1,697 chapters and there's no romance. Okay, I guess.
No.
Well, okay.
I mean, maybe they left it out.
Or maybe they ran out of tags,
Ran out of space, cannot add more.
Yeah, the system said, you can't tag more than 15, bro. Anyway,
Oy.
Okay, let's get into summarizing the novel for those who aren't familiar with it. Mind you, this is currently an ongoing novel, so we're aiming to be more general and spoiler-free since not everyone likes spoilers.
Okay, so picture this. Hanwoo, we're gonna go with that. Hanwoo, our main character gets transmigrated into this world where literally everyone can become a god. Sounds cool, right? Well, unfortunately, he doesn't get the privilege of awakening as a top dog. Nope, this poor guy, he's the underdog, and the original owner of the body was a bullied orphan. Well, kind of. He was raised by his grandpa since his parents were missing, but his grandpa died even before the novel begins, so yeah, he's an underdog. But as we all know, underdogs have a way of burrowing into our hearts, and we end up cheering them on as they work their difficulties and succeed, so...
Well, that's a very nice and heartwarming story. I mean, I know you love underdog stories, but let's focus, okay?
Okay. So, right. Okay, so in this world, people have divine realms. Think of them like personal god spaces. Everyone cultivates faith, builds up divine energy, and climbs god tier rankings. There are tiers to godhood, structures, systems, power ladders, and our poor main character, his realm starting race is locusts. Like, not cool dragons or noble humans, just swarming, buzzing bees. Is tragic and kind of hilarious.
Okay. I think I should do the summary because I think you're just gonna narrate the entire chapter to everyone and spoil everything.
I mean, bugs and underdogs.
Here's the actual summary. Hanwoo, by the way, Hanu means Korean beef. In Korean, it's like Wagyu. The Wagyu equivalent in Korean.
Poor guy.
Okay. Hanwoo awakens in a godhood-based world where everyone builds their own divine realm and gathers followers to ascend. While others start with powerful believers, Han-woo gets stuck with locusts. But he has two unique powers, time acceleration and life sacrifice. So by rapidly breeding billions of locusts and sacrificing them for divine essence, he starts climbing the divine hierarchy at an insane rate. What begins as a joke tier realm becomes a terrifying empire of evolution, swarm warfare, and strategic sacrifice. The novel follows Hanwoo's rise from obscurity to main god status, all while challenging the divine order and redefining what it means to be a god so he can become strong enough to protect everything he loves.
I love stories like this. I just love them.
I mean, I can tell because
Yeah?
it does sound really interesting, like you're just spitting things up and using them as food for your own growth. Yeah, it is interesting, I would say.
Yup.
Okay, now that the summary section is done, let's get straight into reviewing the novel with the help of our translator, Chacha, and editors Fictionme and Antonis.
Okay, first up, plot. Oh damn, all three of them gave it the same score, 8 out of 10.
And it seems like they have similar reasoning too. This sounds like a team that shares a brain cell.
Hive mind. Okay, we're only in the first section, so we'll have to see if they actually have a true hive mind. Anyways, the general consensus is that the plot is pretty simple and straightforward without it being convoluted, but it's engaging.
I love how Chacha put it though. He or she said, they said, it feels like junk food. You know you should stop, but you can't.
Antonis said the same thing, but in different words. Welcome to the rabbit hole. 1 chapter and you crave 10 more.
I mean, I can't disagree because I started reading chapter 1 and next thing I knew I was on chapter 15. And knowing that there's like thousands of chapters, I think it's gonna only get better. Well, that wasn't I think it's quite easy for everyone to agree that this is an interesting novel, right?
Yup.
Anyway, moving on. Next up, characters, and it seems like they're in agreement again. 7 out of 10? Well, kinda. Fictionme gives it a 7.5.
But their reasoning is about the same with this section too. Chacha and Fictionme both talk about his morality or lack thereof. Chacha says the main character being a divine being means that he can get away with certain activities that are frowned upon. But at least he's not overly dense or overly evil. Definitely more room for depth though. And then Fictionme follows it with, I admire the fact that he's striving to fulfill the previous hostess wish, as well as how he treats his friends. Sometimes though, it seems like he doesn't care much for morality. So yeah, seems like our character is a bit twisted.
Antonis focuses more on the personality of the main character rather than the morality. To quote, I feel like Han-woo's personality misses something. The author could spare some time to develop his personality.
Okay, seems like they all agree he's missing something. Whether that be a moral compass or a personality, he's missing something.
Lol. Okay, I know how I'd rate this section.
That was like the saddest lol ever. Lol. So lackluster.
Lol.
Lol. Anyways, moving on to writing style. Chacha gives it an 8, saying the writing style of the People's God is clear and direct, leaving no room for confusion. I mean, she also says that she feels like a boomer because of the slang.
Do kids still say boomer these days? Like, okay, boomer. Do they still say that?
I don't know. Like, when you say kid, are you talking like kid? Or just below 18? Like, kid below 18? Or anyone younger than you?
I guess both. I don't know. I mean, I just wanted to know if they still say okay, but because that kind of feels like something old by now, right?
Yeah, I think the fact that we're questioning whether people still say okay boomer just makes us old and out of touch.
The fact that there's now 2 tiers of younger people below us makes me sad. Because you just mentioned younger than you or below 18 younger. There's like 2 tiers now.
There's what? Gen Z, and then there's Gen Alpha, and then there's soon gonna be Gen Beta. Shit, we're old.
I hope the world ends soon. I hate everybody.
I don't like the timeline I'm living in. Yeah, let's move on.
Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on to what the editors have to say about the writing style. Seems like they both give it a 7, saying that it's clear and direct with not a lot of dialogue.
Dude, Tokki, I think you and I are just easy. Because if someone says, yeah, it's clear and direct, I would have just given it an 8. Good for me, clear and direct, 8 it is.
You know, it kind of feels like our people at Wuxiaworld, they're playing this game. Never let them know your next move. And they're always like, oh, it's like super good. I love the writing style. I'm gonna give it a 6.
Oh yeah, it was like terrible this, and that. But you know what? It has potential. I'm gonna give it a 9.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I absolutely hated how the writer wrote it. 10 out of 10. Anyway, we're definitely easy because I took a peek at the next section and oof.
You know when you draw and like you make something and you stare at it for a really long time, you can't help but focus on like the things that seem wrong, and then someone else looks at it and they're like, "Whoa, it's good." Maybe it's like that. Maybe our translators are just looking at the small thing and nitpicking it.
I'm not sure. Maybe you want to get that checked out. Doesn't sound so good to me, you know?
Listen, I'm the one going around giving 10s. Everyone else is giving like 8s and 7s and 5s, okay? Maybe they should get it checked out.
Okay, but yeah, let's go with your reasoning then. Anyway,
yeah.
For world building, Chacha and Antonis both give it a 5. The world building could use some work, to quote Antonis. The world building leaves much to be desired and could benefit from deeper development. For instance, when Hanwu arrived in Alpheus' world, it brought to mind City of Sin, and I was hopeful we'd get to explore it in greater depth. Unfortunately, that was short-lived. I suspect this is due to the sheer number of civilizations the author introduces, which makes it difficult to give each one the attention it deserves.
Sorry, I was looking up what City of Sin was. I got sidetracked.
Fictionme.
What? I don't. I mean,
that's Sin City.
I thought Sin City was Vegas, and then City of Sin was something else.
Yeah, it
Vegas
says is Sin world. It brought to mind City of Sin. I think he's like it brought to mind Las Vegas. Yeah.
Yeah, because I see there's like a book called City of Sin.
Oh really? Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know either. But yeah, we got sidetracked. Where were we on? Fictionme, right? Fictionme, it's had more generous with the scoring since he has the same reasoning, but he gives it a 6. Yeah. But you know, Tokki, I think it makes sense. If worlds and civilizations are continuously changing with the arc, then yeah, it makes it difficult to be detailed with the world building. So I would probably give it the same score.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I wish the author would cut out some of the worlds and focus on building what he has, because I'm speaking generally here, okay? Because I noticed that with web novels, it feels very surface level sometimes, that instead of having a character go from world to world or civilization to civilization, they settle on one or two and build it up. It's like they're just scratching the surface without really digging, and then they're like, oh, there's nothing here, I'll move on to the next spot.
So you want world building like Middle Earth, huh?
I'm not expecting Lord of the Rings level, okay? Because that's not something that you should be expecting from web novels.
Watch GT calling us, telling us to stop teasing her. We can't stop.
Okay, let's move. Let's move on to originality before that happens.
Okay. So Fictionme gives it an 8, saying they haven't seen many novels with this kind of background and setting, but it does subtly mention various modern elements.
Sounds like similar to Antonis' reasoning behind the 7, though. I quote, I've read other novels that feature transmigration, raising big creatures, and waging war. But this one stands out for how well it integrates different systems. It adapts familiar tropes while blending in recognizable elements from games, anime, and TV in a way that feels rather fresh than derivative.
Okay, next up is our translator Chacha score. I'll be honest here. I love that they gave it a 9, but I'm a bit confused.
What would you be confused about?
Well, they say it's a very interesting novel that crosses into many familiar domain and worlds. So, like, it's a 9, but, like, it's
Wait.
familiar.
By saying they, do you mean the
Like
three of them? Or
No. Chacha. Chacha gives the novel a 9 in originality, saying that it's a very interesting novel that crosses into many familiar domain and world. But we're talking originality. So, like, familiar and originality. So I'm a bit confused there.
I think I sounded like Mr. Kim from Mr. Kim's convenience store just now. Those Korean boomers.
Yes, I know which one you're talking about.
They. I only see one person. Where are the others? Okay, so she's rating it highly because it's familiar.
I mean, that's why I'm confused. Like, I love my comfort reads too, and will purposely binge read the same trope because I'm familiar with it. But I don't think we've ever rated highly on originality section because it's familiar to us. You get my point?
Well, you should message Chacha and ask, because who knows?
Okay. Okay. Let me get that going. In the meantime, let's check out the team score for pacing.
Chacha gives it a 7, saying it's quite fast with training arcs that skip over a few years. Jesus. Still not too bad, and definitely a blast for those who prefer faster pacing novels.
I mean, like, seeing how she gave it a 7, I guess she's not the biggest fan of fast-paced novels.
I guess so. Antonis and Fictionme both gave it an 8, but for them, the fast pacing seems to be a pro rather than a con.
I mean, why wouldn't it be, right? I think it's a pro too. Alright, so Antonis says that they love the pacing and that we don't get 2-3 chapter filler chapters explaining the function of a single item or how coveted it is and so on. So even the NPC villains are dispatched pretty fast. I like that.
I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Listen, if they're just like small fries, I have no issues with villains getting, chopped pretty fast. So, and also, there's 1,600 chapters. Can you imagine how many villains the author needs to come up with for a novel that long? It has to move fast, in my opinion.
That's true. Okay, that leads us to our last category, quirkiness.
Ooh.
And we have Chacha starting strong with a perfect score of 10 out of 10. You know how we were confused about her originality score a while ago? I think the follow-up answer here is because she says, while it borrows familiar elements in system novels, the premise and logic behind the novel opens up a lot of interesting possibilities.
Okay. That makes more sense. Okay. Alright. Fictionme gives it a 9 for a very similar reason, except that the focus is on the transmigration aspect of the novel.
And last but not least.
Yes.
Least. We have Antonis finish it off with solid with
finishing it off
and
solid.
last but not least, we have Anthony. And last but not least, we have Antonis. And last but not least, we have Antonis finishing it off solid with another 10 for quirkiness.
I really love the reasoning behind their 10. Like, raising a weak creature to an Armageddon level existence, and then taking it a step further, raising an entire weak race to that level, only to sacrifice them by billions to gain a bonus and boons. Ooh.
Yeah, we've had bugs in novels before, but we've never had an author raise them and sacrifice them, and I think that's really the quirkiest.
Oh, I forgot about the other bugs. Yeah, I'm just imagining like all of those bugs in millions and billions. Yeah, that's another nightmare-worthy imagery. Yeah. Okay, moving on. That brings us to a final score of 8 out of 10 rounded.
So there you have it, folks. Whether you're here for the divine grind, the locust legions, or just a good old-fashioned underdog story with a twist, it's clear the author of The People's God is having the time of their life crafting chaos. Love it or side-eye it, their creativity shines through. So, if you haven't checked it out yet, now might be the time to dive in.
And one final bit before we head out. This will be the final episode of Season 2 as the Tea House takes an indefinite hiatus.
In the meantime, let us know if there's anything you'd like or wanted differently, since Yojj and I will be taking the hiatus as both a break and a way to come up with better content.
Yup. Thank you everyone for supporting us on our journey.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.